What would you do if everything you had was stripped away in the middle of the night? If the home you built with luxury and power suddenly became the battlefield of fear and betrayal? Tonight, you're about to witness a story that will make you question loyalty, courage, and what it really means to stand tall when the world collapses. But before we dive into this roller coaster of secrets and shocking revelations, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Because the story you're about to hear is unlike anything you've ever seen on YouTube. It's going to break your heart, rebuild your hope, and leave you with chills. In the sprawling mansion of Gregory Langford, a self-made millionaire known for his sharp mind and ruthless business decisions, everything seemed untouchable. From the polished marble floors to the glass chandeliers that sparkled like frozen lightning above dinner parties filled with politicians and tycoons. But behind the scenes of this glittering empire worked Amara Johnson, his black maid, a quiet woman in her late 30s who moved with grace and calm, rarely noticed by the guests who assumed she was just another servant. Though Gregory had long been intrigued by her ability to handle stress in ways that baffled him, for while the world outside grew tense with reports of robberies sweeping through wealthy neighborhoods, Amara never flinched, never spoke of fear, and continued her duties with a dignity that stood out even among the chaos. Until one night, the silence of the mansion cracked like thin glass. When alarms blared, shadows moved against the windows, and Gregory, who had always believed money could buy safety, realized he was wrong. As masked men poured in like wolves, armed and shouting, dragging staff into corners, smashing displays, while Gregory himself froze, his chest tight with panic. But Amara, astonishingly, did not scream, did not cry, and instead stood calmly, eyes scanning the room like she had seen this storm before. And as Gregory stumbled toward his hidden panic button, he was intercepted by a blow to the jaw that dropped him, forcing him to watch helplessly as the robbers demanded codes and safes, threatening his life and the lives of his staff. But even as chaos unfolded, Amara's voice rang out, calm yet commanding, speaking to the robbers in a tone that somehow steadied the room. And Gregory, dazed and bleeding, wondered who this woman really was and how she could possibly keep composure. While his empire crumbled in front of him, the robbers tied Gregory to a chair, mocking him for his wealth and arrogance, spitting words about justice and revenge, while Amara, still standing tall, walked forward slowly, as if she feared nothing. And Gregory's mind reeled because servants were supposed to tremble, cry, beg for mercy, but she did none of these things. Instead, negotiating with the robbers, offering them calm reassurances that made even the most violent among them hesitate. And Gregory, who had spent his life analyzing people in boardrooms, recognized something frightening. Amara was not improvising, she was trained. Her body language was precise, her tone calculated, and it dawned on him that he knew almost nothing about the woman who had cleaned his house for years. So when the robbers forced her to open safes, she moved with them but subtly delayed, subtly redirected, stalling in ways Gregory realized were buying time. And as the minutes dragged on, he began piecing together flashes of memories. The scars on her arm she never explained, the way she sometimes reacted too quickly to sudden noises, the steady gaze that reminded him of soldiers he once negotiated contracts with, until finally the robbers grew suspicious of her calm, demanding to know who she really was. And when one aimed a gun at her head, Gregory felt a surge of panic, not for his possessions but for her, shouting for them to stop. But Amara herself simply smiled, tilting her head, and uttered a phrase that made Gregory's blood run cold. "Do you really think I haven't seen worse than this?" A phrase no ordinary maid would ever say, and in that instant he knew there were secrets beneath the surface. Secrets that would soon unravel not just this robbery, but everything he thought he knew about loyalty, courage, and the woman standing before him. Españols wailed faintly in the distance. The robbers grew desperate, dragging Amara and Gregory into the grand hall, threatening executions if they weren't given everything immediately. And while Gregory begged them not to harm anyone, Amara remained unnervingly steady, her eyes darting across the room as though calculating angles, distances, exits, until suddenly, in a flash that shocked everyone, she disarmed one of the men with a swift movement so fast Gregory barely saw it, twisting his arm and sending the gun skittering across the marble floor. And chaos erupted. Shots fired, staff screamed, Gregory ducked. But Amara was a storm unleashed, moving with precision and strength that betrayed years of combat training, disabling another robber with a brutal strike. And even as bullets whizzed, she used Gregory's fallen chair as cover, pulling him to safety, while the stunned millionaire tried to comprehend what he was seeing, because his maid was fighting like a soldier. No, like an elite operative. And as the last robber fell, subdued, the police finally stormed the mansion, guns drawn, but all they found was Amara standing tall amidst unconscious criminals, breathing steady, her uniform torn but her composure intact. And Gregory, shaken, demanded answers, only to learn that Amara was no ordinary maid but a former international intelligence officer who had taken the job to stay off the radar after a mission abroad had gone wrong, leaving her seeking a quieter life. But fate had forced her hand tonight, revealing her to the world in a way she could no longer hide. and Gregory realized with awe that the woman he had overlooked for years had just saved not only his fortune, but his life, his staff, and his sanity. Yet this revelation was only the beginning, because as cameras flashed and news outlets swarmed, Amara's face was broadcast globally, and with it came ghosts from her past who were far more dangerous than the thieves she had just defeated. The next days unfolded like wildfire, the footage of Amara's heroics spreading worldwide, sparking debates about race, class, and the hidden stories of those who serve quietly in the shadows. And while Gregory's wealth had once been the story, now it was Amara's courage that headlines seized, calling her the calm maid who saved a millionaire. Though Gregory knew she was far more than that, and as media hounded them both, he stood by her side, refusing to let the world reduce her to a stereotype, insisting that people know her full story. But with attention came danger. For old enemies who recognized her from intelligence missions resurfaced, threatening to silence her before she could speak, leading to a climactic confrontation in which Gregory, once passive and self-absorbed, found himself standing beside her, willing to sacrifice everything to protect the woman who had taught him what true strength looked like, and together they faced enemies who stormed the estate once more. Only this time Gregory did not cower, and Amara did not hide, their unlikely bond forming a wall against fear, until at last, after a battle of wits and courage, the threats dissolved, arrests were made, and the world witnessed a truth that could not be silenced. Courage knows no class, no race, no gender. And sometimes the heroes we overlook are the ones who change everything. And when Gregory finally stood before cameras, he didn't speak of his riches or his survival, but of Amara, declaring to the world that the calm she carried had saved more than his life, it had saved his soul. And as Amara herself finally stepped forward, revealing her pasts not with shame but with pride, millions of viewers online and across the globe felt the shock, the inspiration, and the undeniable call to rethink how we see the people beside us. And that is why this story is not just about a robbery, not just about a millionaire or a maid, but about humanity itself. And if you've stayed with us through this journey, don't just watch in silence, subscribe right now, share this story, and let the world know that heroes are everywhere, sometimes in the places we least expect, waiting for the moment when their action shocks the world.